I mean, risk assets, reflation proxies, they've done exceptionally well in 2021. Granted, it's only been 3 weeks. Are we getting ahead of ourselves?
Yeah, good morning, David. We actually at Eastspring, we're still pretty positive on equity markets and risk assets in general, especially within risk assets. We think that the reflationary proxies, bond yields, bond markets was something which we were waiting for to show the sign that the global acceleration is under play. And it's only just begun. We think that yields still have room to go higher. And generally speaking, all the reflationary plays, particularly in the US sectors, whether you look at sort of materials or industrials or even financials, we still think have room to run. And are still looking cheap in our view.
Cheap? They don't look cheap, but of course that's relative. Like, okay, what is cheap?
So just in terms of the relative valuation to the broader market and relative to tech and other sectors within the U.S. equity space, we think that the market is not pricing in pricing in the potential earnings recovery that you can see coming forward in case if yields continue to go higher.
Nupur, where do you stand then on the value versus growth story?
Yeah, so we're pretty optimistic. Most of our positioning, we're still positive on value sectors, not just in the US, but even if we look closer to home in Southeast Asia. A lot of the financials heavy indices, whether you look at Singapore or even Thailand to some degree, have underperformed. And Singapore was down in 2020 when the rest of the equity markets was up. And we think that there's a lot of catch-up play, which is still in place. That needs to come through. And to be honest, in the tech space, especially in the US, the market is pricing in really lofty earnings. So in order to justify the valuations in the tech space, the companies really need to deliver. And with some uncertainty around the regulation and around how these companies are going to adapt in the new world, there is still a lot of expectations that needs to be that the companies need to deliver on. So we think there is more value in the value space still. And if fiscal stimulus comes through, as Biden is promising us, then that is another positive impetus towards the deep cyclical sectors.